Hey guys, if you're showing up today's show and you're ready to be converting more new patients, making a bigger impact and making a bigger income, you are in the right place. This episode's for you. We're going to be talking about a strategy today that I'll tell you right now, if you're not doing...
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business, so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey guys, if you're showing up today's show and you're ready to be converting more new patients, making a bigger impact and making a bigger income, you are in the right place. This episode's for you. We're going to be talking about a strategy today that I'll tell you right now, if you're not doing what we're about to talk about, I'm going to go out on a limb now and say that you are only converting 2/3 of the patients that were showing up to your office ready to start care, right? So you are literally leaving so much money, so much income, so much impact on the table by not implementing the strategy that we're going to be talking about here today. So lucky you, tomorrow's a new day. There's going to be new patients coming into your office this week and next week, and you're going to be able to start doing this immediately and see your conversions increase by, I'm going to say it right now, Dr. Pete, by a third, by 33%, by simply implementing the strategy that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I think it's important that we recognize that, first of all, that we are in the business of saving lives, right? So we're in the business of saving lives, and we have to be ready to save the life, right? And in order to save a life, you have to shape a life. We talk about the shaping process. We talk about the story cycle. You'll hear a lot of that. So what we're going to talk about is a way to maybe reframe or reimagine and approach the shaping process. The shaping begins with the nurturing process. The nurturing of a person is what helps shape a person, and we shape the story of a person, and we meet people where they're at. We like to say a seeker is essentially who knocks on the door, rings the doorbell, picks up the phone, gives you a call. They're the ones that are opting in. They're the ones that are following. Those are the ones that are booking in, right? So they start as a seeker. And what we have to get really good at is we have to get good at meeting people where they're at and speaking into their listening, and then inviting them to go on a journey with you. So we're going to talk through the 3 stages really of the conversion process, the nurturing process of the conversion. And we're going to help you gain ground here, because 1/3 of the people who are ready, like Dr. Stephen, you just said, who are ready to convert, who are not converting, there might be a few lives that are unfortunately not improving because we have missed the mark here. So Dr. Stephen, this is going to, I believe, be very impactful. It's going to actually impact humanity and health. So it's really important to us. We have a high level of conviction about this because we know that we are in the business of saving lives, and we're on a mission to help restore health to humanity. So I'm excited to dig in today.
All right, so let me give a framework to this. So this is a conversation we've never had. Actually, this is it's really exciting. It's interesting. This is actually we're in the throes of preparing for our remarkable conversion and retention immersion, which is coming up in May for the U.S. audience. It's coming up in June for the Australia audience. So this is why this is front of mind and part of the conversation we're having this morning. I love behavioral science. I love behavioral economics. I love the science of persuasion. So when you are on purpose, you should have an appetite for learning how to influence more people, right? So that you can get them to actually make the investments and to take the action steps that's going to help them get the outcomes that they want. We've said this before, we are in the belief system business, right? So if you're like Dr. Pete and I, you got into this business of chiropractic because you want to help families have better health outcomes, right? So if that's true for you, then you also know that you can't do an outcome for people, right? I wish we could, our lives would be easier. You can't do an outcome. You actually have to change behaviors that drive outcomes, right? So, and we all know behavior modification is 2 parts frustration, 1 part short-term, right? So if you've raised children, you know that that's true. Or maybe if you have a spouse, especially if it's a husband, right? So behavioral modification is a tough one, right? So unless you go upstream to the behaviors and you address the belief system, right? And that belief system is what organizes the behaviors, and the behaviors are what drive the outcomes. So, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a DC after your name, or you work in a DC environment, you're in the belief system business, right? So you've got to understand that there's a science of persuasion and communication that you must leverage if you're on purpose. If you're looking to optimize your impact, you must learn how to become a better communicator so that you can actually persuade people to change their behaviors. Because if they don't change their behaviors, they're not going to get better outcomes. Okay. So the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome, right? So we are not in the business of insanity, right? So we're in the business of influence and influencing people to make better choices, okay, based on an understanding, right? So here's what we understand about why people change or why people follow, right? And it's something called KLT. It's know, like, and trust, right? So at the end of the day, if you want people to follow you, they've got to feel like they know you, they feel like they like you, and they feel like they trust you. And Dr. Pete, this conversation we're having today about nurturing is all about establishing know, like, and trust. It's a classic, right? This is like a greatest hit in behavioral economics. But the perspective I want to take on it today is through the lens of 2023. Here we find ourselves at a place where post the COVID catastrophe, which you and I have been doing color commentary through the entire thing. It's kind of like, this is like the armchair quarterbacking or Monday morning quarterbacking, looking back and saying, ha, told you. Right? So like here we find ourselves on the other side of this COVID catastrophe. And frankly, everything that we said was going on is exactly what was going on. The only thing different about today is now people are realizing it, right? So the impact of that is lack of trust. Right. So at the end of the day, the community has stopped trusting. They've never seen the levels of trust in the marketplace plummet the way they have in the last 9 months. It's incredible, right? So, and you've got to recognize that. Like if you're a on-purpose chiropractor and you're trying to influence a community, that influence is going to happen largely through communications, and those communications are trying to get people to act differently, right? So we call that marketing, right? So you've got to recognize that you're talking to a marketplace now that has an incredibly low level of trust. And when trust drops down this low, so does action. People just don't take action if they don't trust. So you got to know this walking into today's conversation is that your community, my community, Pete's community, our community, your community doesn't trust anyone now. They don't trust the news. They don't trust the government. They don't trust their doctors. Do they trust you? They don't trust any market messaging, any marketing or advertising, et cetera. So you got to recognize that there's a new, higher hurdle that we all have to get over, and we have to be very intentional and deliberate about it. Today's conversation is about the 3 stages of the conversion process and looking at it from the perspective of building know, like, and trust. I feel like I know this person. I feel like I like this person. I feel like I can trust this person. And it's not going to happen on its own. It's not going to be passive. It's going to be intentional and deliberate in the pre-day one communications where you're nurturing this relationship so that they show up with a state of readiness, where they're ready to listen and be available and learn and have a great experience. Go through the 4 agreements that we talk about, understanding that we're going to go on a journey together where we agree on there's a problem and what that problem is. We're going to agree on there's a goal and we're trying to get something accomplished. We're going to agree on that there's a path. Those are called recommendations for care. And then there's going to be an agreement around a plan, which is this is what it's going to cost for you to get what you want. And we're going to ask them to make a decision. And really the meat of this conversation today is going to happen right after that when we say, how long does it take for them to make a decision? And what we are seeing is sometimes it takes a longer period to make that decision or make that commitment and make that conversion, which brings us to the 3rd phase of this relationship, this conversion arc, which is the post-day one nurture, which we call the follow-up, right? So we've got the pre-day one nurture to get them to a state of readiness to have an awesome day 1, day 2 experience. And on the post-day 2, when you've asked them to make that commitment, and the follow-up to make sure that we're following up until it's through.
Yeah, this is such good content and topics. I'm so happy we're talking about this because, you know, we may have in the past thought that all of this fell under the umbrella of marketing. And in many ways it is. If you look at your accountability chart and you look at your accountability grid and you might say, all right, I'm looking at the 15 primary functions of my business, and I always look at it through that lens. I think, okay, where does the pre-day one conversion start? Like, when does it start? And we call it in day zero. There's a reason why we have a day zero. And the day zero is before they show up. Now, back in the day, maybe all it took was a phone call. Maybe that was it. It may just have been that. But today, Dr. Stephen, as you're stating, due to the climate with which we live in, due to all of the things that have happened and where people are at, it's more important now than ever before to create that know, like, and trust, right? The KLT, right? It's important to filter your activities as a business, as a practice, your engagements with the public, with the individuals that have raised their hand to say, I'm interested, I need help, I think I want to come and get my help from you, or at least I want to see what you do at that stage. So let's start with pre-day one. So there's three stages, like Dr. Stephen said. There's the pre-day one nurture, there's the on day one nurture, and then there's the post day one nurture. Now, the word nurture to me already is challenging, because if you understand, who you are and how you're hardwired, I'm not saying I'm not a nurturing person. I'm just saying I'm not empathetic. Empathy was never my strength, right? So empathy is something that many of us maybe have had to work at. And we teach how important empathetic connection is. Well, guess when the empathetic connection begins in a nurture? It begins on the pre-day one. You begin to empathetically connect with someone, because we talk about we're building in the experience. We connect people with people when we connect with them empathetically. We connect with them so that they begin to feel like you actually care about them. You see them, you begin to understand them, they feel heard. That's the first step. So part of the nurture is that they would feel and have that experience with your organization, with your office, with your practice. And we begin that as early as this pre-day one. It's also the moment where they're, again, looking around. They've got options, they've got choices, and they even know what their choices are because they can see them. There's a menu in front of them. What would separate and differentiate you from them, and what would help them get ready to come see you and be ready to make that decision on that on these conversion process days 1 and day 2? What would help them? Well, letting them know who you are, welcoming them into your practice, into your purpose, into your mission, and helping them understand that this is how we help people just like you. So there's a lot of things we could do. We're not going to have a tactical call here today on like, oh, here's 10 things you can do on a pre-day one nurture, although we could do that. But ultimately, that's what it is. It's helping that person say, oh, I think they can help me. They're talking to me. That's me. I'm getting excited to come in here. I'm coming in ready. We used to talk about the people that might come from a workshop or a seminar who already heard you and they already saw and understood what you did, or they were so much more ready. They're like, they literally, I just happen to have it on my desk. They literally would bring their checkbook, and they're like, they would come to my front desk on day one and be like, do we pay right now for my friend already told me what it costs to be a patient.
That's what I want. Yeah.
Do I just, can I just pay for it right now?
Where do I sign up?
Put your checkbook away. Not yet. That comes tomorrow. You're good. You're good. But they came in ready with their checkbook. It was like, what's that? What are you doing? They were like, oh, they were ready to pay for their care plan already today. They didn't even get it. And it was just, they were ready. What was it that made that person ready? It was their friend. It was their experience of us. It was all the things they had done, their homework, they had studied, they learned, they were ready. It was already there. Nurture. So pre-day one nurture, Dr. Stephen, what an important part of the process.
And what you just described was, how did you create the dynamic of I know, like, and trust Dr. Pete? And so it's like I know him. Like that's the power of like brand recognition. Everybody, it's like when I say, oh, I know him, right? So I've had some interaction with you, your brand, your business, what have you. So and the more time I spend with you, if you're doing this right, the more time I spend with you, the more I know about you, the more I like you, and the more appropriate it is for me to say, hey, it looks like my life's going to be better with you than without you, right? That's the no part of it, right? So I like you. It's like, I like you because of what you're saying. What you're saying aligns with the way I look at things. You're talking about my favorite subject, me. It sounds like you could be the person that has a new way to approach my getting what I want or getting rid of what I don't want, right? So it's like, man, I like you. You seem genuine. You seem like you care about me. You made that empathetic connection with me. You listened to me, right? So you're likable. People do business with people that they like. It's like how powerful it is to get somebody to laugh. when people are laughing around somebody else, guess what? They like them, right? So it's a lot easier. Think about the opposite of it. Do you like to do business with people you don't like? You'll actually be like, I like this restaurant. I love the food. I love the environment, but man, I just don't like that person or that guy that owns it or runs it or is my way, right? So it's like, I will not go there because I just don't like that person, right? Think about it. It's like innately, like I can't put my finger on it versus like, yeah, the food's pretty good. The environment's nice. But I love the people. So I go and do business with them, right? So people love to do business with people that they like, right? So
yeah.
And then the trust piece of it is, like you said, oh, my friend told me I should come to Dr. Pete's dinner talk, right? My friend said, this is a great man who does great work and he's got a great message for you, right? So they rolled in there going 100 miles an hour, right? They're already trusting you, right? So, that whole Venn diagram that we talked about when we were talking about like, why do people actually buy when is that when you have the convergence of those three domains of, wow, that's me that you're talking about. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get rid of or trying to gain. And then the time is now, right? So that's the marketing side of that, know, like, and trust, right? So, and then we've focused on that in other podcasts, and you can go back and listen to other episodes that we talk about the sort of marketing side of that. And then of course, for the conversion process, which is what everybody considers their day one, day two, which we've defined as the conversion process, where we take them through the 4 agreements of agreeing on the problem, agreeing on the goal, agreeing on the path, agreeing on the plan, right? That's an entire 2-day process. Agreeing on the problem is making sure that we're on the same page, that your health has gone sideways. And the problem is the life effect and how it's jacking up your life, right? You can't do the things you have to do. You can't do the things you want to do. You can't be the person you want to be, right? You don't feel the way, you don't look the way, you can't function the way, right? So that's the problem. The goal is, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. In other words, it's usually immediate goal. I want to get rid of something. Short-term goal is I've got to get back to something I have to do. And long-term goal is I want to get back to doing something that I love to do, right? So there's the goal side of it. And then there's it's now the GPS system kicks in. You're here, you want to be there. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is the path you need to take. That's called recommendations for care, right? So that's the 3rd agreement. And the energy, the time, the focus that they have to put into getting the results that they want. And then there's the 4th agreement, which is the financial agreement, which is how you're going to pay for that, right? So the financial plan, right? So agree on the plan. So those are the 4 agreements. It happens over a 2-day process in the Remarkable Practice. If you want to learn more about exactly what that looks like, come to the immersion we're having in May 5th and 6th. We're going to be in Orlando, 2 days. All we're going to do is train you and your team on how to optimize that conversion process. Today, what I really want us to focus on is what happens on the other side of that, because there's going to be a portion of people that say, yes, I'm ready, right? So they're going to say, yes, I'm in. And they're going to, there's 4 possible outcomes, right? So you're going to say, yes, I'm ready, I'm in. And they're going to sign up that day and commit to care. And they're going to pay with their credit card, and they're going to get on the schedule book, and they're in, right? That's the converted person. And then there's going to be a population of people that say yes, but they don't make that decision that day. They don't swipe their credit card. They've got to go home and figure out how to pay for it or what have you. So we've got that yes, what we call outstanding person. Then you have the no for now. Somebody's like, no, this is something I can't commit to right now. I can't put the time, energy, focus, and or the money into making this happen. So they're a no for now. And then there's a no forever, right? Which is a small group of people like, this, man, you know what? This is a mismatch. It's not that you don't need chiropractic care. It's just like, everyone needs a chiropractor. It's just like, but I'm not everybody's chiropractor, and we're just a mismatch. Like, we don't have aligned objectives. So it's a no forever, right? So Dr. Pete, those are the 4 possible outcomes. There's a yes converted, which means paid. There's a yes, but haven't paid yet. That's outstanding. And then you have a no for now, which is, it's a timing issue right now. And I just can't get my head around the value to make sacrifices around the other things I've committed to. So I'm saying no for now, right? And then there's a no forever, which of course is that person that, drops off the list, if you will. The follow-up, which is the 3rd phase of conversion here, is all about chasing down that yes, but open cycle, which is the yes outstanding and the no for now. There's a long tail conversion process that might take 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or even 3 years for them to finally come around. But we do not stop. We continue to follow up and follow through until it's through. Dr. Pete, I think this is where people are missing 1/3 of the conversions for the people that were ready. It's just that they didn't take that last phase as seriously and as intentionally as they took phase 1, the marketing piece, phase 2, the conversions that happen inside the office. And those people walk out the door and they just needed those extra touch points, the extra nudge, and a little bit of time to arrive at a conclusion that I'm ready to start chiropractic care.
The thing that comes to me, Doc, as you're talking is, as I'm just reflecting on this and really getting into the emotion of it, is I think it's a sense of rejection. I think a lot of us, we put a lot of energy and effort into this process, and we're like, listen, if you didn't convert or whatever, then we feel rejected. And the reason a lot of times we feel rejected is actually because we have, it wasn't right, but we actually put that pressure on them and us that they would do that. But we actually have to respect, the boundary of the relationship. We talk about one of the energies in the first visit is what we call creating scarcity. Scarcity isn't manipulation. Scarcity is boundaries. It's actually respect and honor. It's saying, I respect your decision to decide what you will do with your healthcare. If we decide we will accept you, that's in our boat. We can control that. If you decide to proceed forward with our recommendations for care, if we both agree, then we may be able to move forward. That's what it means to create scarcity. And so at that moment, we have to have respect for the fact that, people may not be able to say yes right now for whatever reason. And I'm equally okay with that, because the last thing that I want is to jack up my retention numbers anyway, because that person who I get to say yes, doesn't stay. And that's not the point. What is your mission, right? Lifetime family wellness care. That is what we are here to do. So if I'm making that happen, then I'm actually jacking up my ultimate destination, like beginning with the end in mind. I'm not actually accomplishing the outcome I'm trying to accomplish. So we have to be equally as committed to helping people get to a place where they can make their yes a yes, let their no be a no. And I lived in the South. I mean, I practiced in the South. So people would say to me things like, I'm going to go home. Like when I lived up north and practiced in the North, they would say, they would either just say no, or, I need to go talk to my spouse if they weren't there. In the South, they said, I'm going to go home and pray about it. Everybody said that. I'm going to go pray about it. And I'm like, oh, you're going to do the pray about it thing. I was like, well, and so I built into my general report of findings, I talked about the pray about it card. And I used to just say very clearly, like, listen, and I share with them about my relationship and how I pray and how I believe God answers prayers and things like that. But I said it almost,
yeah, God already answered your prayer. He sent you here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I would say. I was like, well, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of people say the other thing to me, like, you're an answer to prayers. So one way or the other, I'll say this to you: let your yes mean yes and your no mean no, because at the end of the day, for myself and my team, we're going to be fully committed to you and helping you achieve your goals and your health. And we're going to be all in. So I do ask that you do go all in if you choose to decide now. And if not, we bless you as you go. And when you're ready, we'll be happy to serve you, because that's why we exist. We exist to serve. And, when we're able to communicate clearly to people right on the beginning, we can get that clear, that undecided, that gray area becomes more quote unquote black and white. Like it's more clear
So
what's
good.
going on here.
So good.
And then we put them into a appropriate category, and we just love on them. We nurture them intentionally because they belong there. That's right where they're supposed to be. And one day, whenever that day is and we're ready, they'll raise their hand again and they'll pick up that phone and they'll give us a call. And that's really, Dr. Stephen, I think what you're talking about is, but I really needed to speak to that. Just a lot of times it's more of a heart issue for us, you know, and we got to get that right.
And I think you're nailing it. This is a bullseye right here. This is a bullseye. This isn't just a, hey, that's a good idea. I think this is literally a bullseye. So I want to double click on what you just said as we close, which is so often we do not follow up with those open cycles because there is a feeling of rejection, right? And we feel like they've not just rejected our recommendations for care, but we feel like as a leader that they've rejected us, right? And that's really painful, right? So to feel that level of rejection and thinking that that they rejected you, right? So of course there's pain looking at that list of people or those phone calls you need to make or the emails you need to make. And you're choosing to step into that area of pain because you've associated their decision with a rejection of you. Okay. Let's free you of that right now. This isn't about you. For an on-purpose chiropractor, you get to a point where you just recognize and you own it's not about you, right? So if you've ever read A Purpose-Driven Life, it's the first line in the book, right? It's not about you. So let's get to the heart, head, hands, and feet of this and just wrap. Okay. So with this third stage, what you have to recognize is for some percentage of your people, and I'm just not going to assign a percentage. I'm fighting the tendency to want to assign a percentage of people. It was a yes, but ... They just needed some time to arrive at the conclusion that I'm going to change the trajectory of my approach towards my health and my life. And you have to respect and honor that and recognize that just because somebody didn't give you that strong yes, which is what we all want, right? Or a clear no, which is so much better than that wonkiness that we leave there. We have to recognize that we have to have a heart for that. And we have to recognize that's just the truth of it. And our role has not changed. We are still the guide. We are still the shepherd. We are still the Sherpa. Your mission, your purpose, your role has not changed because they have not yet made a commitment. That's the heart of it. Stay on purpose. The head of it is like, okay, so I now recognize that I have to be intentional and deliberate about having a system and a process in place to follow up, to continue creating those opportunities through collisions. You have to stay front of mind because life happens and the world is competing with you for their attention. And what the world has to offer is not good. So you have to stay in front of them and stay front of mind so that they are continually revisiting that. Is it now? Is it now? Is it now? Stay in front of them with that intention. And the hands and feet of this is it has to be process, right? You have to make sure there's SOP around this. Is like, this is what we do. We connect with them every day for the first week. And then it's every week for the first month. And then it's every month for the next quarter, right? And then there's a continuous thread of text messages, videos, emails, outreach, whatever it takes to keep that person connected and to recognize that at the end of the day, every step you take in their direction is a purpose-driven effort to establish deeper know, like, and trust.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
All right, Remarkable CEOs, thanks for tuning in to this segment here in the Remarkable CEO podcast. I'm honored to have today with me in the studio my good friend. We've now known each other for 2 calendar years, Mike Tokash from Imaging Services. And, guys, this is a big part of what we do in chiropractic is, being able to show people what's actually going on in their bodies. That's a big part of not just attraction, but conversion and retention. And this is a significant part of us doing our best work clinically,
And so I'm excited to have a conversation with Michael. He always has something he's working on, something to make our lives better, something to make our practices more remarkable, help us make a bigger impact, bigger income, doing it in a more remarkable way. So, Michael, thank you for taking the time to meet with me here today and be on this episode.
No problem, Doc. I'd love to be here. This is
we're
my life, chiropractic.
There it is. Well, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. So tell people a little bit about you, who you are, where you're at, but also what do you really do for chiros? I want you to tell them this because you told me this once we met. I think it was in Atlantic City. I think you told me about this. We were at an event, we met, but I want you to talk to the docs here because we got docs coming from all over, and I know you're all over the U.S. And so anyway, tell us a little about who you are, where you're at, what you're up to, and then what do you really do for chiros?
So I actually started in 1975, and I actually cleaned X-ray film processors, hand tanks. You know, I love the chiropractic marketplace because chiropractors were so different than the rest of the medical industry. Orthopedics, podiatrists, radiology. I dabble in all of them, but I'm strictly chiropractic for now. And the reason that is, my wife was going to an orthopedic surgeon. Okay. He wanted to do an operation. I got to go see a chiropractor. In 6 months, she's up, she's fine, she's walking, she loves it. She's telling my grandkids, you better go see a chiropractor now. It's like fantastic. So you made my world better because her feet don't hurt her anymore. Her headaches went away. I love you guys. My life is so easy right now, but the reason I do this is because I just have it in my heart for chiropractors. I think chiropractors have always been, at the bottom of the totem pole. People never even believed there were doctors, all that, I'm going to say bullshit, right? And I became an advocate because I wanted to bring you guys to the forefront, So that's why I do it. I'm having a blast, credibility. But I come to you as not only, an advocate of chiropractic, as a business owner, right? So I'm helping docs get their businesses started, which I wish I had helped when I started mine, so it's very exciting for me because it's right in what line I want to do for the year,
Yeah. So you already brought up a couple of really good things I want to press in on. So number one, I love your story. So happy that your wife had tremendous results from chiro. I'm glad she listened to you. I'm glad she listened to you and decided to give chiro a shot before going to the surgeon. So not everybody does that. So I'm glad that's her story and your story. And really, I do appreciate, what you said is being an advocate for chiropractic and chiropractors. Yeah. We really appreciate that, though. So thank you. And then I also want to speak to you as a CEO. You're a CEO, you're a business owner, and you're talking to business owners on this call, right? On this podcast right now. Absolutely. I mean, this is a CEO podcast. Yeah. I know some people maybe not are maybe are not the business owners, but they're in the business and they're working in it. But the majority are, and you're speaking to them. So thank you for that as well, and having that sensitivity as you're talking today, because I know you're listening to these owners who are always looking for ways they can make things better and grow their businesses. And then the last thing I wanted to say that you said, which was you love helping doctors start their businesses, which is interesting because we have, a lot of our docs who are listening are in what we call the season of scale. So there's 4 seasons: launch, build, scale, exit. What's interesting is that a lot of our doctors that are in scale are scaling up, meaning they're taking their business to the next level, or they're looking at the current things they have and how to make it better, how to optimize it. And that might even include their X-ray machines and units, stuff like that. But also many of them are expanding, opening clinic number 2, clinic number 3, 4, 5. And this is where somebody like you really comes in to partner with, because if I'm upgrading, optimizing what I currently have from an X-ray technology and X-ray side, and I'm opening more businesses and I want to do it at scale, but I want to do it in a way that's, profitable, and I want to work with good people, guys like you come in, and that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit. And then I know you're going to talk about some new cool gadgets we can play with and work with now in the industry. And we're also going to call out some of us that are still old school. I think you're going to call out a couple of people today so talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what does it look like when you work with somebody who's either launching into a business, or let's say I'm expanding and I'm growing more practices Talk to me about what you guys do to help guys like
Yeah,
us.
Doc, I'm doing that all the time. And what I do is I come to you being your consultant. Okay. I'm going to give you all the information so you can make a good decision. It's your dream. I'm along for the ride, but I want to make sure you have all the facts straight, right? You want to know all the equipment's available. I'm not just trying to sell you something, right? I'm trying to improve your practice, right? I don't go see my chiropractor unless we're doing x-ray. I don't mind. I want to see an x-ray. I want to know why I got to keep on coming back. That's real important.
Right.
A lot of doctors are sending their patients out for x-rays, but you're not getting the right views. You're inconveniencing your patient. Remember, I'm the patient. If I got to go down the street, I'm not coming back. That's my opinion, right? So with that thought in mind, I try to help you from the room drawings to the physics report to the lead to the contractor through that whole process, because I really believe in one phone call and do it all, right? And that's what I'm coming to you guys with.
Beautiful.
But yeah, Doc, 2020, which is the Opal Rad system, best software out there. I won't sell anything else but that. So I'm bringing products to the marketplace that relate to chiropractic, just like the x-ray motion. So now you're getting motion x-ray. Whoever thought a chiropractor was going to get that from a manufacturer? So these manufacturers are now really looking at chiropractic. You guys are growing tremendously. Well, why not get some free help, right? And that's what I'm here for free. If you don't buy it from me, I'm okay with that. I just get all excited. I'm happy to help you.
But you're saying, so you're saying right now, and this is new, you told me this is new in this year, that now chiros are able to do motion x-rays like across the board. Talk about that. Cause I mean that from a, like you said, from a product delivery, like me delivering the product to my patient and delivering that level of quality of insight into what's going on with a person's spine. That's incredible. Talk to us about what now is available that maybe wasn't even a year ago.
So now it's available, doctor. It's actually really x-ray. It's not fluoro. Forget the C-arm, forget fluoro. Okay. It's a real x-ray system that you can shoot a regular x-ray with, and you can actually do motion with. Okay. So it'll give you 16 images in 1 second, and it puts together, right now I sold 4 of them, installed them. They're basically Pierce doctors because they had a C-arm, then they had x-ray, and now you're getting everything out of one. And doc, motion it's unbelievable. And now I got docs doing that and saying, well, I could get 3D out of that motion. So it's like chiropractors are taking it to the next level that the manufacturer didn't even know about, so, wow. But it's really x-ray-that-moves.com. You go to that website and there'll be a full demo on it. And doc, if they call me, I can get everybody, in on it, but it's fantastic. It's a new product that came to the marketplace strictly for chiropractic. And that's usually what not manufacturers do. Nobody paid attention to chiropractors. I did. I saw something. I knew you needed help. And now it's out there.
It's good.
But it may not be for everybody, doc. There's always retrofits to your existing x-ray. Get rid of your film processor, get rid of the old dinosaur. You're paying as much for film and chemistry as you would for a new digital system. It's crazy.
Yeah. So talk to that doctor. So I know you're making a comment, but I want to, so right now, if I'm still filming processor kind of doc, talk to me about what are we looking at as far as a makeover? What is that looking like? Cost, time, what does that look like for us?
So for us, if I sold you a system today, which is going to be $18,000, that's a special for remarkable practice, right? $18,000, and you're going to get a rebate back for $1,000 from the manufacturer. So $17,000, you just retrofit to your existing x-ray, get rid of the film, get rid of the processor, get rid of all that. And now, doc, you got images on every computer in your office. You can send them to a doc bar, anything you want to do. But now you got good tools, line drawing. Doc, could you imagine doing a line drawing? I don't know if you can see that. So, here's a doc that did a line drawing, right? It's crooked. It's not really straight. Doesn't want to show me that line drawing. It's just dot, dot, bang, or automatically draws it for you, right? That's the technology. And, I like to say, back 10 years ago, orthopedics went with this technology, right? But it wasn't affordable for chiropractic. So for 18 grand, 90-day deferred payment, early payoff. I mean, there's so many different programs that if you want it, I'll get you into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So
great.
let's talk about how do we get in contact with you? What's the best way for the docs to connect with you, reach out to you, learn more, have a conversation? What do you want?
Doc, it's right on the screen. My cell phone number, always on 24/7. Remember, I'm not just selling on the East Coast. I sell the whole United States. My biggest territories right now are like Colorado, Texas, California, Florida, anywhere you're at. And I have a team of service guys that I handpicked to do all my installs, and we do on-site training, right? So my thought is, if I can treat you right, it's your dream, I make it come true, you had a great experience, you're going to tell the next doctor about me. That's what my philosophy is.
Good. So just to give you guys his number. So Mike prefers if you give him a call directly on his cell phone, which is 610-812-3079. So just give Mike a call, send him a call, text, give him a call. He'll respond to you. I know because I've called him multiple times. I've sent guys over to him. He takes great care of them. All the docs I've sent you, Michael, everybody's happy. You do a great job. And we appreciate you, in the remarkable practice and as a remarkable CEO, speaking to you as another CEO. Thank you for the work you're doing for the chiropractic industry. Thank you for helping us stay on the front and cutting edge here when it comes to, the X-ray and imaging services. And thank you for what you're doing to help us help more people. So appreciate you taking the time with us today. You guys know how to reach out to him, 610-812-3079. Give Mike a call, and we'll see you, Mike. Looking forward to seeing you at our next event.
Same
and
thing.
For all of you who are tuning in, appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember to tune in next week for the next episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Until then, God bless and have a great rest of the night.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.